Welcome to Breathe California TV. I'm Terry Trumbull of Volunteer, and we hope you'll considering volunteering for Breathe California, either at the website that you see below me or 408-998-5865. Today we're talking with Ensenah Sadr of the Silicon Valley Bike Coalition. This is something of I think great importance to anybody that rides a bike. I used to commute to work 7 miles, and I think it's the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. Many drivers were pretty unkind about the experience. So we're going to talk to Ensenah about what the coalition does and how they're making our roads safer and healthier. We'll first have a public service announcement and be back in about 30 seconds.
It's given me a chance to go out and be with people who has the same problem. And it helps you to manage your life better too, because you hear different things from each person. And it's just been really helpful in many ways.
As I mentioned earlier, our guest is Ensenah Sadr. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here today, Terry.
I'm going to put in a few more plugs for Breathe California, which is the lung health organization for the state of California. We have 5 chapters throughout the state, and we assist about 100,000 people a year with breathing difficulties. So if you have one of about 13 different breathing disorders, feel free to check out the website or call us just to get somebody to help. So getting to you, Ensenah, tell us what the Bike Coalition does and why it's important.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I just want to thank you and thank Breathe California for the wonderful work that you guys are doing and how important this is for all of us and benefiting our community. And just as a longstanding kind of person who's cared about our community and environmental consequences for people, that's something we all really appreciate. So yeah, the Bike Coalition, we want to get people biking. We believe that this is a wonderful, joyful, good for the planet way of getting around, and we want to make sure that this is something that people feel comfortable doing. It kind of breaks my heart. You were saying that you had a commute that felt really scary. That is not what we want. This is what we've been working for, is to make sure that people, and when I'm talking about people, this isn't someone like me who bikes every single day and is, in most situations pretty comfortable. I want people who are not even going out every day, who are going, who are newer riders, to feel comfortable making that decision to themselves get on a bike and go to the grocery store, to be able to send their kids to go out on a bicycle. Our hope is that by 2025, we'll have 10% of trips in this area being taken by bicycle. And then after that, that number to go even higher than that. And I can tell you a little bit, the way that we think about it in terms of our work, we're targeting 2 things. One is that bike infrastructure. So we want to make sure that when folks are going out there, they're riding on roads and separated areas where they're not so afraid of those cars or feeling so vulnerable. So that infrastructure to make sure that people feel safe is something that we're pushing for and fighting for and talking to city councils about and elected officials and city officials about. And then the other piece of work that we do is all around bike culture. So we don't want to just create these beautiful lanes that then remain empty. We want to really help people build that habit that when they're heading out the door, it's not with their car key, but it's with their bike helmet.
Well, I'm under the impression you've been very effective with San Jose on getting changes to get more bike lanes, and adaptation to things like BART coming to make it easier for people to commute to BART stations.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I thought maybe I ought to actually ask a question, but I was trying to leave it open for you to talk about the kind of things that you've been doing in San Jose and Campbell, which is where our audience is for this program.
Yeah, well, I personally am based in Campbell. My kids have gone to school, elementary school through high school, getting on their bikes and going to schools in Campbell. So it's been fun to kind of see the things that we've been working on in this area. And then as you alluded to, in San Jose, of course, anybody who's been in the downtown area recently has seen some of the work that we've been pushing for. And most recently, if you were following the conversations about Google's Downtown West, that the San Jose Planning Commission that recently voted unanimously to support that area. And there was a big fight, right, over parking, and the Sharks sports and entertainment complex really wanting to hold on to the parking and encouraging kind of driving. And one of the things that was really exciting was to see the way the community came together. The Bike Coalition, also Mothers Out Front, so many other groups who came and said, hey, we really see a different form of transportation as the direction and the future for San Jose. And that's not something that should stop this project from moving forward. So a lot of work in these different areas of kind of growing our membership, getting people, helping people understand the state of where things are at and the things that we need to work on, and then getting organized in a way that we can weigh in.
Well, if people are not riding their bikes to the arena, there is a train station right across the street with a whole variety of different routes coming in: Caltrain, light rail, Amtrak, and the San Joaquin Valley system, and BART not so long in our future. So all those make things a lot easier. I've been surprised with both the Giants and the Warriors stadiums that they don't seem to have the massive transportation parking that we associate, and yet they seem to have no problem packing 20,000 people in when we're not in an epidemic.
That's exactly right. The SAP Center has more parking per seat than any of the event centers that you're talking about, the Warriors, the 49ers, and for some reason there's been this push for this unneeded parking and street expansions when we are right next to this like incredible transit center. So it was really exciting to see the community come out and then see the unanimous decision on that.
So how has the epidemic affected your work and the use of bikes? I would think that it has encouraged it because there are far less cars on the road.
Yeah, one of the things that has been so exciting, if you have stepped foot in a bike shop this year, you will see an empty bike shop because all of the bikes were sold out. So I think there was a real combination of a number of things. One, like you say, fewer cars in the street. So people really, this sense of kind of reclaiming the streets and having this, wow, like this is what our life could be. Like if you could step out the door and have this space that's usually taken up for parking, for cars, where you don't feel safe, but now it's a place where people can feel safe to walk and ride. That has been, I think, just an incredible experience this past year. Also just gyms closing down and people being around their homes a little bit more. So gyms closing, then looking for kind of a new way to exercise and going into your garage and dusting off the old bike and getting out there and remembering how, what a wonderful, lovely thing it is to kind of be outdoors, and then, learning kind of some of these new routes on these streets that you feel safe, like, oh, now I can bike to the grocery store. Now I can try biking, to some of the places that normally I would think I would hop in the car for. So that has been really, really exciting this year. And it's something that we're, really thinking about how do we take this and then, as the pandemic comes to an end, keep this going, right? Because we really, again, see biking as something that, it's healthy for us as individuals, as a community. When you're out there, you're really connecting with folks. The environmental benefits, there is no other form of transportation that is more kind of efficient in terms of the earth's resources being used, or in terms of pollution not being created, and safer, of course, if we can get fewer cars, on the streets. Cars are responsible for killing nearly 40,000 people a year. So really trying to move our community to a place where it's safer, healthier, more environmentally sound, and really more joyful.
Well, I don't want to sound happy about this because we are in the midst of an epidemic that's a god-awful disaster in the health of some people. Happily, my wife survived COVID in January, but we may be in the first period in which we met clean air standards since 1970, because so few people were driving. And I'm happy to hear that 50% of people telecommuting think that they ought to just stay home and work out of their homes. That's not using bikes, but I think you're pretty understanding about the health consequences.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're really hopeful. I mean, it's been neat to see this type of conversation seeping into more mainstream media, where people are really questioning, do we need this many cars? Or, how do we want to use our space as a society? Can we set up transportation systems that really serve us and our needs, and making, centering people and moving away from kind of the car-centered approach that we've had for so many years?
Yeah, that's really quite critical. So we're starting to come out of the epidemic. What are your priorities at the coalition for the next few years?
Yeah, at the coalition, I mean, one of the things that we have been focusing on really prior and through the pandemic is strengthening our people, because we really understand that so many of these decisions are being made at very local levels, and we want to really be the backstop that supports local grassroots groups. One of the things that is really exciting over the past year, I mean, we have been growing at an astronomical rate, and perhaps part of this is because people are coming to see the bicycle and as an answer to so many kind of issues, whether it's the environment, whether it's health, whether it's traffic, whether it's the community. And so we're really trying to answer that by supporting our membership and our community as the front lines folks. And so transitioning from a coalition where, us as staff tended to be the front lines, and we were going in and having all the conversations, to really organizing so that hopefully in every city and town, we can have a local team. And those are the folks that are very aware of the local conditions. They're very aware of the local projects. They know the people and the players. And then we're providing the support in the background to make sure that they know, what are the important meetings that they need to go to? How do you deal with budgeting issues? How do you get your neighborhood or group of people organized to influence? So then, we're providing that kind of background information and support, but they're really the ones taking it forward. So that's really been transformative for us, and something that we're continuing to really push and support in terms of kind of our organizing structure.
So we're going to take a 30-second break now, but we'll be back for another 10 to 15 minutes with Ensenah Sadr of the Silicon Valley Bike Coalition. So hang with us.
What it feels like to have an asthma attack is, well, you can't breathe, and you can't tell anybody that you're having an asthma attack because you can hardly talk. You can maybe say 1 or 2 words, but you can't say much else. Breathe California has helped me come in contact with more asthmatics and more people who have the same case as I do. It's important to me because I don't feel like I'm alone in the fight against asthma.
Welcome back. I'm Terry Trumbull of Breathe, California. We're talking with Ensenah Sadr of the Silicon Valley Bike Coalition. Why don't you talk about some of your wins in recent years, meaning things where you were successful? I assume
Yeah,
mostly with local government.
yeah. Absolutely. And wanted to also just, we've kind of been talking about our transition to really supporting folks at the grassroots level. I just also wanted to extend an invitation to any of your viewers. One of the things that we're doing now, and this is another one of those interesting kind of silver linings of COVID, as we've learned to do things remotely, we're now able, we have local teams up and down the peninsula, right? So it would be very difficult for folks to actually get together in person. And one of the things that we've been doing now is monthly bike-tivists. So we've got the biker and the activist, right? So we have our bike-tivist forums. And what we'll do is everybody, all the local teams come together. And then often we'll have folks get to hear from like expert speakers on one aspect of organizing or one aspect of, safe streets or bicycling or Vision Zero, and then break out into their breakout groups and talk about what's going on at the very local neighborhood level. So those are open to anybody to come and, hear kind of in the first piece, like kind of learn from those experts that we have, and then go into the breakout rooms and choose whichever neighborhood, you're most interested in and learn. So that's been something that we've been doing this year that has been really fun and really kind of bringing all of those local teams together.
So
another
you
interesting,
can see that those meetings on your website. Just look up something that might be close to you that'll want to go to.
That's exactly right. And the wonderful thing about it is, if you go to bikesiliconvalley.org and you look for the Biketivist, so BIKETIVIST forums, and it's not something that you have to go to in your local area. It's something that you can absolutely do online as part of a Zoom. And you get to meet like activists throughout the area, but then you also get to go into breakout rooms with folks that are in your own neighborhood. And then you're talking about what are the initiatives that we're working on in our neighborhood right now. So I would invite everybody to participate in that. Another thing that we've been able to do similarly on the education side, so the Biketivist forums, the focus there tends to be the bike infrastructure, right? So we're organizing politically to weigh in about how decisions are being made vis-a-vis bike infrastructure. But the second piece that we talked about, which is bike culture, how do you get people to kind of change their habits and removing those barriers, things like normalizing bicycling, we'll be talking about bike to wherever day soon, and also, classes and other things that kind of help people feel more comfortable biking. So we also have, again, and this is online, whereas it would have been in person and, it was a little harder for people to travel and get there. But now we have monthly webinar classes that people can come to. And for me, it's just incredible seeing our training team and kind of the classes and the content. We've done classes. Our most recent one was on family biking. So, how do you bike with your teenager versus how do you bike with a baby or a toddler or someone in between, and making sure that the family as a whole feels comfortable biking. We've done sessions on women and bicycling and kind of the special concerns or things that kind of women will think about or will feel as a particular challenge as they're taking on bicycling. Focus on bicycle commuting. So going, we're doing less of this right now where we're going to work and coming back, unless we're going around the block and coming to our workplace at home again. But as we transition back to going back to work, what does it mean to be bicycle commuting in terms of the things that you need to be taking, planning out your route, being safe, and all those other things. So that's another thing that we've been able to do over this past year that has been really wonderful in terms of an offering that we actually hadn't foreseen before COVID came around.
Well, you're the Deputy Director for Fundraising and Communication. How's the epidemic affected that? I would think it would be quite a distraction in trying to get a message across or to raise money.
I have to say our community has really stepped up. It has been, I mean, when this started, we just were like, oh gosh, this is going to be such a tough year. And, you know, we're just incredibly lucky to have an executive director and a board that has been, you know, really careful about, you know, just the growth of the bike coalition. And, but everybody had to think really carefully, okay, what are we going to make it through? You know, what is the fun? You know, we rely on our members and donors to make sure that we are able to be out there fighting for folks every single day. And, you know, we didn't know how this was going to impact people's ability, you know, their own finances, and then how that would affect their ability to support the Bike Coalition. What has been amazing, I think last year was probably our best year ever. And I think that comes from, first of all, you know, when we're in a situation like this, people are thinking about what are my priorities? What are the 2 or 3 things that I want to make sure is going to be able to get through this year? And we are honored to have been among those top 2 or 3 organizations that people were supporting throughout the year, so that we did have a very, very strong year when it came to fundraising and membership and growth. So that has been something that's been incredibly heartwarming to see.
Well, I hope your boss, who I have to suffer through another meeting with her at 6 today, thinks that you're responsible for all of that good stuff.
Well, I assure you, I'm actually not. You know, we have so many people like that are out there every single day. Our folks on the advocacy side of the house who are organizing all these local teams, our folks who are on the training side of the house who are, you know, doing everything around building a bike culture and helping people feel more comfortable. Those are the ones who are doing such great work that really inspire people to want to be involved with the Bike Coalition.
Well, you have behind you on the screen 2 things. I think you've talked about one, but anything more you want to say about your Bike to This program?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are in the midst of Bike Month and our Bike to Wherever days. And I would really, really encourage you to, you know, any of your listeners and viewers to check out the website. Again, it's bikesiliconvalley.org, and you can look up everything that's going on this month, either under the events page or go directly to our Bike to Wherever days page. We have a number of things I'd encourage you to be involved with. First of all, if you pledge to ride, there are all sorts of prizes that you can win. You can get your friends also to pledge to ride. Anybody who pledges to ride is then eligible for one of our free Bike to Work Day or Bike to Wherever Day bags. And those will be handed out during the official Bike to Wherever days of May 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. So this is one way that the pandemic has changed things. Usually we have one specific morning that we're targeting as everybody is biking only to work. This year we wanted to distribute it both so that we weren't encouraging crowds and also so that we could be serving a lot more people who aren't necessarily biking to work, but are biking to wherever, whether that's the library, the grocery store, other places, whether it's on a weekday or on the weekend. So that is May 21st to 23rd, and any of those Energizer stations, you can pick up one of those free bags. I also want to tell you about Bike to Cookie Day. So you can get a free cookie from the Knox Cookie Bar in San Jose just for biking on May 16th, biking on in. I'm definitely planning on it. I encourage everybody else to as well. And then the other thing,
turn down
I love
cookie.
Yeah, who does, right?
Yeah.
And the last thing that I would share is our Bike Film Festival that's ongoing. And it's about 90 minutes worth of selected shorts. So short, and it's just inspiring watching these. One of the things that I'm really excited about is one of the shorts is, as an Iranian American myself, one of the shorts films is about an Iranian woman in Iran with her bicycle. So lots to look forward to, lots to participate in this month and beyond, and really, really, really look forward to connecting with some folks that might be interested in learning more.
And the other side of you is something that says save the planet. That may be inherently obvious, but is the Bike Coalition vain enough to think that they're helping with that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. Transportation is a leading cause of our greenhouse emissions in this country. So if we can shift people away from cars and onto bicycles, that, you know, if you can think about just even trips that are under 5 miles, if we could move all of those onto a bicycle, how much that would do in terms of taking away the greenhouse gases and other pollutants. If you think about, you know, just from braking or from wear and tear of tires and streets, all these things that are like kicked up into our air that we're breathing in every single day. Absolutely, I believe the bicycle can save the planet.
Well, you certainly are correct. And obviously, I invited you onto the show because I think that's so important. 75% of our unhealthy air emissions are coming from cars. And we obviously don't have politicians who, for the most part, are willing to directly kick people out of their cars. Instead, you guys are doing it the right way by offering carrots in front of them to get people to do other things or to make biking better and easier.
Absolutely. And that really, you know, Bike to Wherever Day or Bike to Work Day, this is our flagship event. And one of the reasons we make it such a big thing is we want to normalize bicycling. So our hope is that, you know, during this period of Bike Month or Bike to Work Day or Bike to Wherever Days, where we have the Energizer stations out there where you can go and pick up a free bag, where often your employer will be providing additional incentives to encourage folks to bike, that someone might say, hey, you know what, I'm going to try it on this day when everybody else is. Or, you know, maybe for a couple of years they see, oh, everybody else is biking on this day, maybe I'll try it. And then what happens is, and this is the amazing thing about, this is not an eat your vegetables situation where you have to do something or whatever that's like, oh, this is going to be hard, but I guess I have to do it because it's good for the planet. This is actually something so many people, when they get on that bike and they do this right, it is joyful. You are outside, the fresh air, that feeling of accomplishment. You know, it is really like, I feel like this missionary zeal around wanting to help my friends, you know, discover this joyful way of, you know, moving around. I would say for myself, I mean, just in my own family, you know, not having to drive my kids and sit in that long line of people who are dropping off kids or picking up kids of traffic. You know, I feel like my entire life, I've gained so many hours just from the fact that they get on their bike and they go. Or when I'm going to work or coming back, my exercise is just like folded right into my day. These are the joyful things. And then on top of that, we're also saving the planet. Win, win, win.
Well, you may have already done it. We're basically out of time, maybe 30 seconds left. Do you have a summary of what you want people to remember from this show?
I think what is behind me is great. So biking saves the planet. The only thing I would add to that is biking brings joy. And a great way to get involved is to check out bikesiliconvalley.org and get involved with Bike to Wherever Days 2021.
Ensenah, thank you very much. Next week, we're going to hear from something similarly consequential, which is from our city forest. It is absolutely amazing how important trees are for the quality of our life. So see you then.